Can everybody hear me?
I think we can hear you right now.
Oh, okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Hello, everybody. Sorry, so sorry once again for the delay. I thought I was gonna be on time, but then I had to quickly do some mom duties before joining the meeting. So sorry for the delay, but okay, awesome. You can all hear me. Okay, so welcome once again to another information session organized by the Nigeria Residents BC group. I want to say a big thank you to Sidalitola. She was the brain behind putting everything together and organizing this event on behalf of the events committee. Um, like we all know, I don't want to take too much of our time again, so I'm just going to go right ahead to introduce our very wonderful experts who will be talking to us today about real estate investments in Canada. Um, hey, sorry about this, just a minute. Okay. And to do justice to that, we're going to be having three speakers. And the very first speaker who would be talking to us today and is already present here is Sam Badmus. He's a mortgage broker and for 4 Point Mortgages. So I'm just going to talk to us just a brief introduction about this very wonderful and excellent expert that will be sharing his wealth of wisdom with us today. So Sam Badmus is an MBA professional with extensive years of real estate experience across Africa, the Middle East, and North America. So you see, it's very, very vast. Like you guys are in for to enjoy and get to learn so much from him. Sam believes that clients have unique needs and needs to be listened to. Using excellent relationship building skills, Sam continues to deliver above the expectations of his clients by employing strong mortgage strategies fit for each scenario. He values relationships and provides awesome experience to every client in a respectful and timely manner without compromising on deep core principles. And these principles, sincerity, integrity, and responsibility. He's a father of two and an avid believer in devoting time to his family. Sam enjoys going on trips and discovering all beautiful British Columbia has to offer with his wife and children. Without wasting too much time, thank you so much, Sam, for agreeing to do this for us. And thank you so much. I'm particularly very eager to learn so much from you. Uh, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to get a response. Okay, thank you. Welcome to this session. Thank you so much for giving me the privilege to be able to speak to everyone today. And hopefully we'll be able to learn one or two tricks and we'll be able to do justice to real estate investment in Canada and be able to pick one or two things. I just want to say this. I want this to be interactive for everyone. So if you have questions, you can pop in the questions and Sharon, please, if you can help me, you can actually read through the questions and we can go through them as they come. So what I want to do first is for us to be able to understand the concept of investing and the criteria for investing before we go into it. Obviously, well, we're all immigrants here, we're all Nigerians here, and we want to prosper in BC. And in terms of doing that, you could go the normal route of you owning your own property first, coming here, buying your own property, and then from there you buy your investment property. Or otherwise, you can go through the other route of, you know what, I have this down payment rather than buying my own property. If the rental, and I was speaking to someone over this holiday about the rental market, and the rental market is actually booming in BC right now, especially in the lower mainland. And people can actually look at it and say, look, let me evaluate it. Is the money I'm getting from a rental, is it greater than the mortgage I'm paying? Am I going to be able to cash out more than $0? Absolutely, people are doing that. It covers your mortgage, it covers all your recurring cost of you running a rental. If it does, I think you should go for that. So for every situation is not one outfit all. If you speak to any mortgage broker, I think you will hear that answer over and over again. However, the first thing I want us to know is the three criteria of you investing is number one, your return on investment. Your return on investment, are you going to break even and all that? Number two, is it safe for you to invest? Are you going to lose money? If you're going to lose money, then it makes no sense for you to be able to invest in properties. However, historically in the lower mainland in BC, the property market has been able to do great in terms of safety, in terms of return on investment. So even if you're not making money from the rentals, the capital growth in BC is fantastic. I've walked across so many markets in Africa, in the Middle East, in Europe. I can tell you that BC, Lower Mainland, can pat itself on the back and say we're doing well. When you're having up to between 15 to 22% capital growth, you're on the right path. So do we tick it in terms of criteria? The return on investment, yes, ticks it here. The safety, yes, ticks it here. And the government is all about you making profit also. The third thing which you have to look for is, do you have an exit strategy? Is an exit, if I want to liquidate it and I want to sell it, will I be able to sell it and make my money back? Is there an exit strategy there? All of these are all ingredients that we should look at. So you look at it on a whole value, holistically, you look at it. And once you see that you can actually make that, then you'll be able to look at what you want to do for yourself. So we've spoken about the investment. I think Mr. BC Ogunwale will be able to talk more since he's a financial person. But let me bring it down into mortgages and how we can actually invest in mortgages and also not just our principal property. Now, the first thing which we will be talking about is the investment property here. You look at it in two ways. Do I want to look at it for invest in rental properties for the long term, or I want to look at it for the short term? All of these are questions you should ask yourself before you dip your two legs into the water. Once you can answer the question, absolutely, it's good. But what the market or what the rules are is, if you're looking at investing in a residential property, what you need to put down is the minimum of 20%, 20% down payment. Now, your loan to value would be 80%. Now, there are other things which would be able to qualify you. Do you have an employment? If you do not have an employment, would you be able to go to, let's say you have, your employment is full-time. If your employment is not full-time, so that doesn't mean you're not going to be qualified. You're still going to have to look at it. Are you a seasonal worker? Are you working on contract? Then if you're looking at working contract, then it means that you have to be able to show salary over 2 years, and you've paid your taxes in 2 years, then you'll be able to show that. So for every scenario, there's always a lender that would be there to help you out. Then you'll be able to look at your credit score too. So look at it as what you were able to qualify for as a first-time home buyer is still the same thing you'll be qualified for here, buying a residential property. However, rather than buying or putting it as 5% down, you'll be able to do minimum of 20%. Now, there are a lot of criteria that come into this. Now, the lender wants to know that, okay, do you have money cash down? Also, do you have money saved up? So for a property of 500,000, you have 50,000 as a cushion in your bank account, maybe your TFSA, your RSP, you want to have all of that down. Now they want to know that your rental can be able to cover your mortgage. So all of these are the things which they're going to look at. So that is the conventional way. And I know we're all Nigerians here. You want to learn new tricks for you to be able to go out there and be able to just look at it as your financial dream, or buying multiple properties in BC, like climbing mountain. Now, if you're looking at climbing mountains, you have to have strategy for you to climb. Now, there are other strategies. So most of the properties over here, you can't tell people to just bring 20% down all the time. It makes no sense, because let's say averagely in Surrey or in Lower Mainland, averagely you're looking at a rental property of 400,000, and you're looking at 20%. That's over some amount of money, and we know how much we collect over here in terms of salary. So what are people doing? How are people breaking even over here? Now, whether you're going to do live-in or flip, short time, then buy an old and rental, whether you're going to buy fix and flip or live-in then rent, whatever you're going to do, you need to have a strategy. And one of the strategies that works well is you leveraging on the 5% down payment that the government, it's not a written rule that you can't have more, you can't pay more than 5% one time. So a lot of people come into the market and say, look, I want to buy a rental property. So they bought their principal property for 5%, right? The next one, they think they want to do it on 20%. However, there's a little trick in the market whereby you bought your first 5% of your principal residence. You go on to the next one. Now, when you go on to the next one, you can buy the next one as your principal residence, then you put the first one as rental. So what I mean is, let's say you have a property, your first property, let's name it property A, it's sold for 500,000 and it's bought, closed and all that. You live in it. Once you live in it, you can, after a certain period of time, you can always buy a second property and put down 5%. However, this second property of 5%, you have to leave property A and go into property B as your principal property. Then you put property A as your rental property. Now, the banks allow you, or the lenders allow you, to do up to 4 to 5%, 5 properties of this. So you can own 5 properties of this till you catch. So you can't do more than 5 of that. And that's how people are able to do this in this market.
Sorry to just cut in here. Would you want me to take the questions in between, or would you like to have the questions at the end?
Let's make it interactive. Let's take it in between.
Oh, okay.
We'll be able to go through all of that.
Okay, so we do have 2 questions already. I'll start with the second one because it kind of like stems from the last points that you just made. So this person is saying, if you don't have up to 20%, do the train smash, or the insurance will have to pay, or the insurance you will have to pay is not that much and one should go ahead. Or is it then advisable to wait until you have 20%?
So I think that goes down also into what I said just right now. 20%, yes, you're not going to pay your premium in insurance, whether you're paying Genworth or so you have insurance from CMHC, Genworth, you will pay a premium on that for them insuring. You will not pay an insurance on that. So let's say you pay 20%, you forget about the insurance. However, if you do not, for you to have 20% go over it. It takes a long time. So how people are be able to cut the corners in the market is having 5%, get an insurance in it, live in it, then move on to the next property. However, if you're moving and paying 5% on the next property as your principal resident, you have to leave property A and move into property B. If you're able to do that, then you put property A on rent and you start collecting rent. Now, you have to sit down with your financial advisor who will tell you that, okay, from your portfolio, this is how much you can make from this. You can make X, Y, Z. At the end of the day, don't forget the three criteria we're looking at. Is it safe for you? And are you making good return on investment? If you're making good return on investment on rentals, the capital appreciation is off the roof in BC. So you're good on that. However, you should be able to work it out into it. So most lenders are going to look at that. How much are you making? So your mortgage minus your rental minus half of your mortgage, if it's equal or greater than zero, then they'll be able to do that for you. So you need to, number one, speak to your financial advisor and also speak to a trusted broker who will sit down with you and help you map it all out.
So thank you, Mr. Badmus. Sorry, this is Ebony. So just to clarify, you kind of telling us not to get stuck on the 20%. We can not to get too hung up on not wanting to pay the CMHC insurance is not a big deal.
It's actually
we should go ahead.
It's actually not. So I think where a lot of people actually make the mistake is, or when they read about this, is people get caught up in the 5% and thinking that you can only pay 5% on property once. No, it's not stated in any law book here in Canada. So you can pay the 5%. So far you live in the second property. So it's your resident property. So you can have resident property as property B. You move away from property A to property B. Don't forget there's still a mortgage on property A, right? Then it's up to you. Can you afford to pay it? Are you going to put it up on rent? Obviously, it makes sense for you to put it out on rent. When you put it out on rent, it pays your mortgage. So you don't have zero balance or minus zero balance. If you can do all of that and your finances can support that, absolutely, then you can go for the next property and still pay 5% and pay your insurance on it, which is from CMHC, from Genworth. All of this is what your mortgage broker will help you with. So have I been able to answer that question?
Yes, I think you've clarified it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So do we have another question?
Yes, we had a first question from Ebony Sisi. Ebony Sisi, would you like to take your question?
Yes, Sean, thank you. So Mr. Badmus, my question is about what happens to the value of investment property over time. So I've heard people say that after 10 years, there's no warranty on the property, right? So if I buy an investment property and in year 15, I decide, okay, I want to sell this investment property. Am I going to get that capital appreciation that you speak about because there's no warranty on the property anymore?
Okay, I think over time, this question will best be answered by the realtor because that's their field. My own field is more or less like the finance part where we put all things together and find your lender to be able to give you money. However, even from what I know and what we all know, there are properties even in Vancouver that has been built since 1900, 1930. Now, you will still be able to get your appreciation. The market is the way the real estate market has evolved over time in BC is it's still a seller's market at the end of the day. So whether there's a warranty, and when we talk about warranty, that's when the lender sends in an inspector to check the property, know that what you're selling is up to standard. So at the end of the day, by and large, you still be able to get your money back. So it's an extra exit strategy for you to be able to know that, okay, even if the warranty is going to close at year 10, as at year 8, don't forget you're not just holding the property as a trophy in your cabinet. It's for you to be able to have financial freedom. Let it go and you move on to the next property.
Okay, thank you. Makes
You're
sense.
welcome.
I believe those are the questions that we have at the moment. So we can just go ahead with when we
Okay.
have more questions.
All right. So one of the things which people also do in times of breaking even is buy the property that they can live in, then rent. So with buying a property, then you rent. It's like a mortgage helper that helps you. So you look for a property or in a complex that allows you to rent a property or allows you to rent maybe your basement. So this actually helps you to build a lot of cushion in terms of your capital. So coming from the audience, if we're speaking to high net worth of people that can pay 20% and buy properties of $2 million, $3 million, we'll be having a different conversation. However, we're new immigrant coming into this market. I think we start from known to unknown. What I'll tell people is even if you can get into the market where the property is around 300, 400 or 500, get into it, live in, then rent property, whereby you have a mortgage helper. Now, this mortgage helper allows you to pay up your own mortgage. So let's say your own mortgage is around 2,000 or 1,005, and you rent it out for 1,800 because of the rental market as it's booming right now. You have a cushion of 300. You're still saving up. Now, while you're saving up to buy the next property. That's one. Number two, live in and flip. I know of a particular ethnicity that do this a lot. I won't spell out their names, but they are all around us. We could see them. What they do basically, I was speaking with one of my clients. So in 6 months, what he did was he was able to do a live-in and flip, and he made over $1.5 million. Now, what they do is they approach a lender. They do not get mortgage from an A lender, say from TD, from Scotia. No, what they do is they get it from a B lender, a short-term loan, a short-term mortgage. They buy the property. The property is a tear-down property. So what they want to do is they do not buy the property as a casing. What they look at is the land. Then they build it. When they build it, they live in it for 1 month and 2 months, then they flip it and they move on to the next property. If you can do that, the more you go, for our own audience, what I would advise is you don't have to build from the scratch. What you can do is find properties that they are reasonable priced. The further you go out of the lower mainland, the cheaper the property is. Find a property there, but you should be able to speak to your realtor to understand how the capital growth in that market is. Then you can actually look at it, hold it for a time, and then flip it. So those are, for every situation we find ourselves, there's always a solution. The solution in this market that I've seen right now, especially for immigrants like us coming in, is not for us to wait for us to have, save $100, save $200, save $1,000 before we get to that 20%. That's like climbing Mount Everest and you're taking just a little stroll. Why not take the advantage of the 5% we have in the market, get into the market. As of 2008, people were not even dropping down payment in this market. The government came up and so until the government said, no, we cannot do the 5%, it's time for most immigrants to be able to get into the market and get the best out of the market with the 5%. Do we have any other question?
None for now. Just for the new people that are just joining us, if you have any questions as we go on, kindly just drop them in the chat section, and I'm monitoring it. So we'll just get to read out the questions to our speaker. Okay. So far, we don't have any more questions. So over to you. Oh,
Okay.
I can see Claymark. Claymark, do you have a question? You have a raised hand.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay, please go ahead.
Mr. Badmus,
Yeah.
you've been making mention of the 5%. I know when I first came to the country 2 years ago, I was hearing certain comments about new immigrants having a program, enabling us to like get into the housing market with 5%. But when I look closer, and then you hear that houses from up to 500,000 are like 5%, 500 to 999 at 10%, and then once it hits the $1 million mark, it's like 20% down payment.
Yeah.
So how do we marry these two information now? New immigrant 5%, and then property prices, and then how do we work it out?
Okay, thank you so much for the question, Mr. K. Mark. Now, you're totally right with what you're saying. And from the beginning of the session, I said, look, it's a strategy you have to play out for you to be able to get what you want. Now, with a property of $1 million, you have $200,000 as down payment of 20%. If we're being factual with ourselves, it takes a long time from salary and from other investment to be able to get this. Now, from what you've asked, yes, for 5%, you can buy up to below $1 million. Any property below $1 million, you can do the 5%. So how this is math is 5% on the first 500 and 10% on the remainder. So in terms of this, what I would advise, and you have to speak to your financial advisor on with this too, what you have to do is you're setting up a financial map to a financial freedom. What you have to do, let's say the kind of property you want to buy is on the west side of Vancouver, but you're starting up with all sincerity, you're starting up from, let's say, from Surrey all the way to Langley. The properties, you're putting 5% down there. The property is 500, is 600. You are building up your appreciation. And by the time you get a capital of 200,000, then you can do what you want to do. But right now, what you have in the market is that 5%. You're not saying that I want to go buy a property of $1 million or $2 million and put it as rental. You're tying down except somebody is going to tell me, but from my experience all over the world, I will tell you, they're tying down your capital. Why not distribute it? Don't put your eggs in one basket. So with 500,000, let's say you have $1 million you want to spend, or you have $900,000 you want to spend in terms of what you're qualified for. Why not buy a property of 450 and another one of 400? You still have a cushion, then you'll be able to spread your portfolio. I hope I've been able to answer your question, Mr. Kema.
Yeah, thanks for the answer. Leading me to more questions. I think I'll just reach out to you after this session.
Absolutely, absolutely. My numbers are everywhere, and you can see me on LinkedIn also. And yes, you and on our Telegram, Nigerian in BC also, I will post my number also in there so that people can reach out to me.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you so much. We do have one more question, and then I just want to say we have like 5 minutes to go.
Yeah.
So we'll just take that question. So somebody says, can I get a mortgage for principal residence to live in if only her husband is working?
Absolutely.
So if just one person is working.
So just one person is working. Yes, you can always get, so for mortgages, we look at people individually. So let's say the husband is working, we'll put the person, so far he has a full-time employment, so far the person has, so far your credit score is more than 680, you're qualified, you can be able to get a mortgage. So on your own salary, it will be good. The more the salary, the more you guys are qualified for. However, if the husband is the one working alone, absolutely, the husband will still get a mortgage. So let's say what they will qualify for an household of 200,000 will not be the same thing as $100,000. It's going to be different. So yes, you'll still be able to get a mortgage. Unfortunately, it might not be as high as both of you merging your score together. I think there's also some question on the chat room right now.
Yes. So we also have, if one wants to take advantage of 5% on second property,
Yep.
is there required time to leave in the first property before one can move into the second property while one converts the first to a rental property? And then the second question is, if our credit score is not up to 680, does that mean I cannot get a property?
Okay, interesting question. The one of the 680, and that's one of the reasons why people like me, a mortgage broker, we're in business, because we know all the rules and we know the kind of lenders we're going to send you to. If you walk into a bank today and you say, I have less than 800 and 680, what the bank is going to is just one answer fits all. They won't be able to bend it around for you. They will tell you no. But with a mortgage broker, there are so many lenders. We have a type A lender, we have a type B lender, we have a type C lender. So let's say your score is horrendous, it's bad, it's below 400. Would you not still be able to get a mortgage? Absolutely, yes, you will still be able to get a mortgage. It's just for us to be able to have our thinking cap and be more, to go think out of the box and still get you the kind of mortgage. However, you getting the mortgage and your credit score is way lower than 600 or 680, the interest rate might be a bit higher, but depending on how your relationship with the mortgage broker goes and the relationship of the way the mortgage broker brings up your case file to the lender, they'll be able to do something. And in most cases, we'll tell people that, look, it's not 680 at the moment. So why are we not, we ask the question, why are we not in 680? So we have, there's a company that checks the credit score, which is Equifax. Equifax sends all the details of your credit scores and all that. We see it. Then we'll be able to advise. You have a line of credit here with TD. You have a loan here. Rather than us buying at this time, let us pay this loan. Let us pay this away, and we'll be fine with that. So everybody, even with a bad credit score, will still be able to get a mortgage. It's just depending on how we get the mortgage and how active we are in the market. So this other question, I think the first question, could you read that again?
Yes, it says if one wants to take advantage of 5% of the second property, is there a required time to leave in the first property before one can move to the second property while one converts the first to a rental property?
Okay, so in the market, there's actually no rule of thumb to say this is the amount of time you will be able to live in the first property before you go to the next property. So because once your file is closed with the lender, all the lender wants to see, before they give you the mortgage, they want to know that you are responsible enough for you to pay back and pay your loan or your mortgage at the right time. That's what they want to see. And it's not about your down payment. What they want to, how they determine that you can pay on time is, number one, your employment. Number two, how you pay your Fortis gas, for example, how fast you pay your phone bill, how fast you pay your credit card. Those are the things that make you responsible in the eyes of the lender. Now, once your file is closed and they've given you the mortgage on the first property, you can go in there, live for 1 month, live for 2 months, live for 3 months, depending on how fast you have the next 5%. Then you go into the market and so if the lender is going to say, oh, or another lender, because it's going to come as a loan on your next property, the lender is going to say that, okay, you have a property before 3 months ago. Why do you, at the end of the day, you can always say, I do not like the property. I'm moving on to the next one. And that's how people are able to break even in the market.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Sam. As we have really, really enjoyed this part of the session. Thank you for the tips, for the tricks and the nuggets that you shared with us of wisdom. I'm sure quite a number of people are listening and they're wondering, with this wealth of experience and, all you've worked in different parts of the continent, you're well of the world, actually, different continents in the world, and you're well-rounded. If I want to employ the services of Mr. Sam Badmus, I'm sure it's going to cost me a hammer and a foot. So can you just explain to them what it entails to actually get you to be as their mortgage broker if they want to actually get your services?
So with us, with the way mortgage broker works in Canada and most parts of the world, all you just need to do is contact me, send me an email, or call me or text me. People call me even around 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening. I will pick your calls. I would answer your question. No matter, there are no stupid questions. We'll still be able to answer your question. If you have 1 year plan, 10 years plan, we'll still be able to sit down and be able to work out a plan for you to have your financial freedom. And in terms of money, don't worry, you don't have to pay me. The bank and the lenders, they pay me. So no one have to pay me. So the way we work is at your own best interest. Just look at it this way. The bank are looking at paying their own shareholder. I do not have a shareholder I'm looking at paying or looking at making money for. You are my client. Most of the Nigerian community and the African community in BC are my client. They are my shareholder. So I do the best thing in their own interest to get the best mortgage. And people, you have to understand that the way mortgages are designed in this country is for it to cost you a lot of money. And that's why you need people like me in your own court to be able to make sure that you are getting the best out of the mortgages, the best interest, so you do not pay the bank's FT interest at the end of the day.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Sam. He's with Forefront Mortgages. We'll definitely be sharing this as a recorded session, and we're going to share the session on the Telegram group. And then he will definitely drop the contacts of all our speakers for today. So I can see some people already asking for your phone numbers. I'm going to say this one on behalf of my darling friend, who is Mr. Sam's wife. Please get your questions early. Don't disturb him at night. I know he said he's willing to pick your call at 9 p.m., but for my friend's sake. Okay, then. So we'll definitely get their numbers and their contact information, and we'll drop all that you need to, everything you need to contact them on the group. Okay. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much, Mr. Sam. We're going to move on to the next speaker for today. If we still have more questions, please feel free to drop your questions, and if we still have a bit of wiggle room at the end of today's program, we'll take more questions. So, but we have to move on to our next speaker for today. I just want to know if Mrs. Shade Badmus, is she here? Oh, sorry, Shade Solomon. So sorry about that. Shade Solomon here. Okay, she's yet to join us. Okay, so our next speaker for today is Shade Solomon, and she's a realtor and a strata and property manager, and she works with Remax City Realty. We also have a third speaker, and I believe he's already here with us. He is BC Ogunwale. He's a financial educator with BU Advisory Group. So while if you just give us like 1 or 2 minutes just for us to confirm if we have our second speaker on ground, and if not, we'll just move on to the third speaker and we'll just get back to her. Mrs. Adetola, do we have Mrs. Shade Solomon on with us right now?
She's trying to connect, so just give me 1 minute, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So just so that we know, this is like a sequel to one of the programs that we've had before. We'll be dropping all the recordings from previous programs on the Telegram group. If you're not yet on the Telegram group, please do drop a comment in the chat section to request to be added to the Telegram group. That's where all the activities and all the enjoyments gets down. So you can join the Telegram group so that you'll be able to have access to all our previous videos on information sessions and more. There'll be more events coming up. The events committee is really working hard to ensure that we are super engaged, even with the lockdown that is currently that we're still experiencing with COVID. But there would be a calendar of events that would be posted pretty soon on the Telegram group, so you do not want to miss it. So we're definitely going to get that done so we can all plan ahead for future events. Like I said, thank you once again to Mrs. Aditola. She's with the events committee, and I keep saying events committee. So to everybody out there that you feel that you have one or two things to contribute to the events committee, please do reach out to me, and then you'll be added to the events committee. We just want to ensure that everybody's engaged, everybody's happy, just organize information sessions, fun game sessions, just to get everybody to mingle, to get to know each other, to continue to build this community, and at the same time for us to learn, learn everything that we need to know for us to be able to prosper in this land that we found ourselves. Okay. Is Shade Solomon here now? Okay. I think so that we don't take too much of our time, we'll probably just go on to the third speaker of today. I believe I saw Mr.
Yeah, she's here
okay.
now.
Okay, Mrs. Shade Solomon. Okay, she's here. Hello, Ma. Okay, so while she's, oh, awesome. Okay, so she's here with us. Hello, thank you so much for joining us and welcome. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly do an introduction. This is Shade Solomon. She studied architecture. She has a BTech and MTech in architecture from FUTMINA. She worked with ExxonMobil for 10 years before relocating to Canada 17 years ago. And at the University of British Columbia Southern School of Business, she studied real estate, trading services, property management, and strata management. Oh, at Thompson Rivers University, she studied project management, and she's fully licensed with Real Estate Council of BC for 14 years. So we have with us a giant in the industry. She's well seasoned. I would advise everybody to just get prepared, get armed with your questions, because you never can tell when you have this kind of opportunity to have experts like this in our midst again to talk to us about very important topics like this. She's worked with investors by managing their property investments. She's been helping buyers in acquiring desired homes and been helping sellers by getting their homes sold in a timely manner at desired rates. She has other skills in condominiums, commercial management, and sales, and she has worked with diverse clients and customers. She presently works with Remax City Realty, Vancouver. So without wasting too much of our time, let me just get out of the way for this very seasoned professional, Mrs. Shade Solomon. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much. The floor is yours. Okay, you have to mute yourself. No, we can't hear you now. You're still muted. Let's see if I can. You would have to unmute yourself. I can actually see that you're muted currently.
She's unmuted now.
Okay, awesome. Okay. Um, no, we can't hear you, unfortunately.
She needs to check the settings of the, what's it called? The microphone or the volume.
Okay. Just bear with us, everyone. Just give us a few minutes. If we already have questions that we came here armed with, because begin to drop them in the chat section so that by the time we get going, we'll just start taking questions at the end.
Who's living near Madame Shade's house to go and help her?
Or would you like to rejoin, exit, and then come back in?
Actually, this is Monisola. Maybe ask her to call in using the phone numbers.
Okay. 1 second. Mr. Aitola, can you please? Mr. Aitola.
Sorry, I can hear you.
Mani, are you saying to call my phone directly?
No, in the Zoom link that you sent to everybody, there's a phone number that you can call in and just speak.
Oh,
They just
okay,
hold
okay.
you. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Aitola, would you be able to please text that to her?
I already did.
Okay. Okay, so we're already having some very interesting questions. Like I said, if you already have questions prepared for the realtor, you can begin to start to drop them in the chat section. We just need to get this fixed, and we'll be going on in a few minutes. Okay, so we're just going to give it like 1 more minute, and if we're unable to get that connected, we'll just probably go with the third speaker, and then we'll come back to Mr. Shadixo and have the second speaker afterwards. Okay. So we'll just give it like 1 more minute. And like I said, if you have questions already, just please share your questions in the chat section, and we'll take them at the end of each section. Thank you so much for everybody for joining us today. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you so much for sparing the time. We do appreciate this. Okay. Thank you, Ma. We'll just go with the third speaker right now, so that we don't take too much of time because we're trying to be time conscious. And then we'll just come back. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so let me just introduce our third speaker. To some of us, this is not the first time we're going to be meeting him. He's addressed us on a few occasions and few events that have been posted on the group. So without wasting too much of our time, I just want to introduce you to Bisi Ogunwale. He is the president of BO Advisory Group. He's an investor, financial educator, and social change agent with over 17 years of work experience across 4 continents in financial services, pension, corporate finance, private equity, banking, insurance, and mortgage financing. BC is passionate about entrepreneurship, financial education, and social change. When he is not closing the deal or educating people on building tax efficient wealth, BC loves to read books, travel, and meet new people. So thank you so much, Mr. Bisi Ogunwale, for joining us today. The floor is yours.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
For some reason, the video is not working. It was working earlier,
yes,
but now it's not working. So if you can hear me, I don't know. I'd love to see people who are seeing me, but okay.
But we can hear you perfectly.
You hear me okay, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay, awesome. First, I want to say thank you to my brother, Sam. That was an incredible, presentation. I like some of the things you spoke about. It's always good to listen to people in the mortgage space. I myself am a mortgage licensed agent as well. And, there's so many things you can do in this industry. You just basically need to understand how it is done. Can I share screen? Do I have the opportunity to? No. Please, could you allow me to? Still can't do that. So
it's
today,
not restricted.
Okay, now you can.
Yeah.
Great. Can you see that?
Yes, please.
So let's quickly talk about how do we build wealth using real estate? I mean, to be very honest with you, this would be more or less like asking questions and then just answering whatever questions you guys have. Sam has done the real work. He's told us everything that we need to know. Mine is just basically to tell you some of the things that I've come to like about why I do what I do. So personally now, there are investment criteria that I use, and it doesn't really matter whether it's real estate or anything else. Whatever type of investment that I want to put my money into, this is what is most important to me. The first thing is tax advantage. And the second thing is, when I say tax advantage, in Canada today, there are 3 different major ways where asset is classified in terms of what you pay in taxes to CRA. So there are assets that are taxed immediately, on an annual basis. Assets like investing in stock market, investing in mutual funds, exchange traded funds, putting money in GIT, GIC, any form of money market instrument. Every year you get to pay taxes on those when you are filing your taxes to CRA. There are some investments that are not taxed immediately, they are taxed at a later date in the future. So assets like RRSP, RESP for children education, annuity, Canada pension plan, and all manner of those pension-related funds that would have access to in the future. All those are not taxed today, even though they are growing at tax, deferred way. Until the day you want to redeem them, you don't get to pay any form of taxes. And then lastly, there is, the ones that are called the tax advantage ones, which will be typically TFSA, your primary residence, which is home. What else is there? Insurance product. All insurance products are tax, tax exempt products, both life and health related insurance products. And then if you were to gamble and do lottery and win lottery, you don't pay any form of taxes on lottery. So those are the 4 things that you don't get to pay any form of taxes on. So every other thing you pay taxes on them. So when I'm trying to invest, I want to find what sort of tax advantages can I find. The next thing is, where can I find growth? Growth is very important. Just like, Sam says the other time when he was talking, what is the rate of return on your investment? So that's the growth that you're looking for. For me, I want to be able to leverage my investment. So what is leverage? The opportunity to use other people's money to take advantage of growing, my portfolio, investing and increasing the rate of, return that I would get on an investment. Also, looking at ways where I can fungi something that I already have in place to get into something else. And then lastly, I want to be able to look at liquidity. Why is this important for me? I mean, I like to find cash flow anywhere. Cash is very important. So how quickly I can find liquidity will determine the things that, I want to invest my money in. And it does not matter whether it's, real estate, whether it's, stock, whether it's a business that I want to get into. This is my criteria. So let's look at, something. I always say very simple. If you cannot, if you cannot explain something in a 4-box like this, then it's not worth it. I'm looking for tax advantage. I'm looking for growth. I'm looking for liquidity. And I'm also looking for leverage. Anything that I cannot explain with a 4-box like this, I don't put my money into it. It's the simplest way I can, look at an investment and make a decision as quick as possible if I want to put my money in it or not. If I cannot use this 4-box to explain anything, it becomes, too complicated for me to get involved in it. So let's quickly talk about how investment in real estate from my own perspective, of the way that I've done a few, and then, with a couple of people that we've been working together. Today, what are experts saying? I've read something in there where somebody was saying, with all this madness that is going on in the market, this is still okay for us to, to be investing. Look at, this is Oxford, economics report that just came out last week, May 18, 2021. We're looking at 2021 Q1 numbers when it comes to North American housing affordability indices. Look at the US, way of how things have happened over the last, thereabout, say, 15 years. But look at our own here in Canada. So you're looking at more affordable housing in the US, and then it's becoming less affordable for us here in Canada. More importantly, in British Columbia, Vancouver is leading the pack of the, most unaffordable city in the entire of the North American space today. Look at what is going on here. Instead, in space of most affordable, when I look at most affordable cities in North America, you see, Quebec is there. There's Edmonton here. There's Winnipeg and Calgary. On the right, when you are looking at least affordable, Vancouver is number 1, Toronto is number 2, Hamilton is number 3. Ottawa is there. You have Montreal there. The funny thing is, when you look at where, just like, these numbers showed, This is just a validation of that previous slide, which just basically shows you where we are today. Guess what? If you are thinking with all this madness, how are things going to be? I'm telling you that you have not seen madness. You know, there's this Nigerian, satar that I watch on Black Camaro. You say you want to see craze? You have not seen anything like craze. The market is just about to get crazy. For what reasons are we saying this? There are very many indices that are pointing towards that. One of them is this. We are at an all-time interest low interest rate all time. There is no Federal Reserve, no central bank that is going to increase interest rate in the next 3 years. Why? The economy cannot sustain it. They prefer to let real estate drive off inflation, drive the market. Once the economy begins to peak all over again, they can begin to say they want to, monitor and control inflation. Until that time, nobody is going to increase anything like interest rate. So as long as interest rate is low, demand will be running after supply. Supply is very low right now. So it's going to continue to be a seller's market. It's just a thing of economics, supply versus demand. Demand is extremely, extremely high, but the stock is not there. That's one. Number two is to also look at, number three is to also look at, 2020, there was Corona. A lot of people didn't get into Canada. And the government says that they want to bring 1.2 million new people into Canada over the next 3 years. So 2020, that 400,000 people that were supposed to come, they didn't come. For almost half of the year, we are now at the end of May. We haven't seen any serious number of people coming into the country. Just imagine when vaccination is gone through, COVID is now pushed to the back, people can begin to move around, the border is opened. Imagine the influx of people that are going to come into this country. Where are they going to stay? There is already a very big demand right now. Demand is going to surge at that point in time. Do we have the housing stock to do that, to support it? The answer is no. So if you want to really see craze, let's compare numbers maybe 5 years from today. May God spare our lives beyond them. So look at what is going on here right now in Canada. Again, the average in Canada is this blue. Every other city that has been before this blue mark is within the reasonably affordable city. Unfortunately, many of us are living in these other three on this side. How are we going to manage to get the things that we want? So I want to quickly talk to us about what are the things that we should be thinking about. See, this is the provincial seat of where we sit, where we are today. Vancouver homes are the most unaffordable in the entire of North America. So if you are thinking, where do I want to live? Are you happy with living maybe 1 hour or 1 hour, 30 minutes outside of Vancouver where you can find something that is a bit cheaper for you? Are you comfortable looking at maybe you should totally, go to another province to go and find something that is affordable for you to live in and be able to pay your mortgage comfortably? I would rather choose, where I can conveniently pay my mortgages and then be able to make extra income than for me to want to stay where I am and just basically carrying unnecessary burden. You also need to understand what your risk level, tolerance level is and all of that. So for you to win in real estate, in terms of the real investment in real estate, there are 4 things that I always recommend to anybody. Many of us are just basically trying to get into our first property. It does not matter whether the first property is where you live or you don't live. Sam says something very fundamental. It's not compulsory that you should live in your first home that you buy. One of my friends who taught me about some of the games of this real estate, between her and her husband, they live in a rented apartment. Well, guess what? No, they now have started living in a home that they own and they pay for. But the funny thing is, between the two of them, before they moved into a place where they are living now, they bought 17 properties between the two of them, between man and wife, 17. and then they rented out every one of them living in a rented apartment, just basically amassing rental income and living off it. Now they now live in one of their own properties. Between the two of them, they have about 21 properties in total. So I sat down with these guys. I've learned, significantly a lot from them. And those were some of the strategies that, I'm beginning to implement. I'm not a big investor in real estate yet. We're doing our third transactions right now. If I count the ones that I co-own with people, maybe this will be the fifth, but we're trying to see how we can also build a portfolio. So if you want to look at how you're going to win, these are the things that you should be thinking about. Positive cash flow. Now, a lot of people are just thinking, I want to buy a home, I want to buy a home. Can you conveniently hold that property? So for example, if you're paying mortgage on the property, how much of, let me quickly say this. When we are renting and we want to buy our first home, you don't understand the additional expenses that comes with owning a home. It was like, I was like, please, nobody told me about I have to pay for this, I have to pay for this, I have to pay this. It's better to be renting than to just go and be in this place. But don't be deceived. Is it going to be very hard for you to become a homeowner? Are you going to pay more than you've always paid? The answer is yes. But I would always recommend that you buy a property. It's important because that's about the fastest way you can build wealth in this country. So think about how you build positive cash flow, especially with rental property. So for example, right now, I'm speaking to you as I speak with you right now. I'm speaking to you from Hamilton in Ontario. And I look at a property very close to my house a few days ago, maybe like 10 days ago. They listed this property for $694,000. And just today, when I'm checking online again to see if they sold the property, they have now relisted that same house for $849,000. Somebody is going to buy it. Instead of buying that, why don't I just go somewhere, maybe like go to New Brunswick, go to Alberta, and go and buy something that is $300,000. Put 20% down payment down. If I put 20% down payment on the property that is $300,000, that's $60,000. My mortgage is remaining $240,000. Divide that by 25 years. How much is that mortgage on a monthly basis? Maybe I'll pay around $950 plus, all of that things that I need to pay, everything, including, property tax, everything is still about $1,000. If I can find $1,200 or $1,300 rent on that, that for me is positive cash flow. After a few months of appreciation or a few years of appreciation, I could do something else with the, what I found in that. There's something else that you should always think about when you are doing investment properties. Apart from the fact that you are getting positive cash flow, which is no brainer for me. Once there's no positive cash flow, sorry, we're not interested. It is the number one thing to look at. Don't forget that when the person that is living there is paying down the mortgage, you are also recapturing the principal in your in the property. So you are building equity. After you've built equity for a while, you want to look at the size of that equity that you built vis-a-vis what the new the new price in the neighborhood is. You could have approach a bank or a mortgage broker to say, I want to refinance it, or I want to do home equity line of credit. I don't always like refinance or selling houses. I hate to sell house because you see, the moment you sell house, CRA is waiting, looking around. You want to, as much as possible, don't trigger taxes. Instead of selling the house, take equity out of that house and then use equity to go and leverage somewhere else. Why do I always like leverage? Right? Let me quickly say this. If I have $100,000 and I want to buy a property and the property is $100,000, if I buy a property of $100,000 today, putting 100% cash down, $100,000, in say, for example, 2 years, the property is now worth maybe $110,000. I'm just using an example. My gain on that property is $100,000, right? Which is, $10,000, which is 10%. But if I have the opportunity of using that $100,000 cash that I have, if I can work around the math very well and I can find maybe, properties that I can put 20% down payment on, it then means that I can leverage that $100,000 to buy 5 properties, over a period of time, or even at the same time, depending on how things work out. And then the same property grow to $110,000. I have $10,000 in 5 places, which is 50% appreciation compared to, 10% appreciation that I would have had on the other side. That's the reason why I like, leveraging. But in process of leveraging, I'm also building capital because the person that is living in that property is paying that mortgage, and then I'm recapturing the principal on that particular property. You have passive appreciation. Sorry, excuse me. Somebody say something. So you have passive appreciation, which is what I just basically spoke about now. Your house is appreciating on a regular basis. So maybe 2-3 years down the line, the house has appreciated to a certain amount. You can leverage, the equity in that to go and do something else. And the last one is active appreciation. So you buy a property today, you renovate it, you give it a new lift. Immediately you are able to sell that property more than what you bought it for, even after you have factored in all the expenses that you spend in getting it together. And that's what active or immediate or forced appreciation looks like. I sat down with somebody a few months back. This was like 8 or 9 months ago, in the thick of COVID last year. This guy bought a property for $3.2 million. They put 20% down payment on that property. It's a multi-unit, residential apartment, very close to one of the biggest hospitals here. And then they spent another maybe $857,000 to renovate, to put this thing into different spaces. There are about 47 units of housing in that particular complex. Eventually, after they finished all of that, they sold it to someone else for $6.9 million. And this was just in a space of less than 1 year. They bought the property at 3.2, spent an additional $857K to renovate it, and then sold it maybe 9 months down the line for $6.9 million. Took away, about $3 million after we looked at the market price that they bought it and what they sold it. Pay the bank whatever it is that was their mortgage on it. The guy sat down after paying CRA, whatever it is. It still went away with about $1.7 million, right? So you want to be able to think about that. So let me say this. Your risk profile will determine what you can do and what you cannot do. And then you will need to sit down with a serious financial advisor who understand investment in real estate and how also understand how, taxes are triggered when you do these things. And that would help you a lot. So the things that you need to learn is where and how to get the capital that you need to use. For the first one, you have to put your skin in the game. Maybe for the second one, see, the first 5 properties that you buy from the people that I've been speaking to and from the experiences that I've seen personally too, when you buy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the first one is harder. The second one is going to be harder than this first one. The third one probably will be harder than the second one. But when you get to the fourth one, it becomes a lot, a bit easier. And the fifth one will be a lot more easier from what I've seen. And then going into the future, it gets a lot more, easier. And then becomes easier once you have a portfolio that you can leverage as a whole. But that comes with its own risk as well. Because the moment you begin to leverage yourself, you have exposure. Now, if you don't build a portfolio that is large enough to accommodate all your exposure, then that's where you run into trouble. So one of my friends was talking to me a few days ago, and then he wanted to introduce me to someone who was building something. When we looked at this guy's liability, the liability is about $7.7 million, right? But when we look at the entire of the portfolio of his real estate, it was about $18 million in total. So I looked at him, even if you were to say, okay, I run into trouble today, it will still be able to sell the entire of the portfolio way, way higher than whatever it is that, is owing, and then still be able to take some things away. So I discounted it maybe by about 30%. So if I discounted that by about 30%, was probably was able to get about $15 million out of that, which is still okay. But a lot of people are sitting down on assets that are, on liabilities, and they think is assets. Why? The prices of, the amount of mortgage on those properties are quite high. So you want to also learn about how to build real estate portfolio. Real estate portfolio is not just basically buying houses. You want to buy those ones that you can build proper equity into them, and then eventually begin to do stuff. Now, are you an investor or a speculator? I've seen a lot of us speculating, oh, so if I buy this house, it's going to rise to this level. Don't buy because you are looking for capital appreciation. It's okay if you find it. Buy mostly because you are looking to find cash flow, immediate cash. Liquidity is what you should be running after. And then the possibility to leverage whatever it is that you have. Somebody who is buying because he thinks something is going to appreciate might run into trouble at some point. I'm not saying speculation is not good. There is also the arbitrage opportunity that comes with speculation. I'm just not a fan of it. There are a lot of people that are doing it, and it's been working for them. Personally, I don't know how to do it. Then there are different options on how to create multiple income stream from these things. You can buy, fix, and flip, just like that my friend did, or you can buy, fix, and hold, or you can buy, hold, and just basically continue to, generate cash flow from it. I've seen people who are now doing private lending because of the fact that they've built cash from investment in real estate over time, and they personally are now able to lend other people, hundreds of thousands of dollars to be able to buy property. And I'm also seeing people who are buying land to redevelop. If I see one guy, excuse me, not too far away from, where my church is, I saw this guy, and he's an Italian guy. I had to go and sit down with him. This guy has 266 units that is building on a land that his father bought about, 15 years ago. So he's currently developing those. I'm just wondering in my mind, like, God, when will we get to this point? 266 units of house being built at the same time. This guy is just slightly older than me, maybe by 2 years or something like that. And those are the kind of things that we want to get into eventually to build serious wealth, for the next generation. And that's just basically what I want us to, talk about this afternoon. So if you have any question that you want to ask me, I'll be happy to take questions. I don't know. Do I want to, sorry, somebody going to read the questions in the...
Oh, absolutely. I can actually help you with that. So thank you so much. And that was really, really loaded. So like you said, if you have questions, kindly just put them in the chat section and I'm just going to read them out. Thank you so much for keeping to time. We had one earlier. I might just, from Ebony CC, I can just ask you that question. I think you sort of like touched on it a little bit at the very beginning, but she says, with the craziness in the market, would you still advise us to proceed now with buying or to allow the market to calm down a bit?
See, you have to ask yourself, what can you live with? What can you not live with? If I have the money to buy today, I'm going to buy. Now, when I say I'm going to buy, the reason why I'm going to buy is I'm not buying just because I'm just basically buying. I'm buying because I want to be able to, get somebody to be paying the mortgage by way of rental income on that particular property. So will I buy something that is going to choke me? No. It is not compulsory. Okay, sorry, let me rewind. The two parts to this is what are you buying for? Are you buying to live in, or you are buying to rent or as a rental property? Regardless of whichever it is, what is it that your capacity can carry is what is very important for us to first and foremost determine. As long as it is not too conducive for me to know that if any yawa were to gas, how would I, be comfortable to pay back those obligations? Would the property itself be enough to pay back? I don't mind moving out of province to go and live somewhere else if I can find affordability in those places, as long as I can, be comfortable with what I'm carrying. Because see, the fact that we bought a property by taking mortgage does not mean that we own that property. until the day you finish paying down the mortgage on that property, it is not yours. The bank, if you default, can still, take that property from you any point when they can't find their, their mortgages. So to answer your question directly, I don't see any coming down happening anytime soon. And I already mentioned the reasons why I don't see that happening. Number one, interest rate is at all-time low. Interest rate is not going to go up anytime from now. I don't even see how it's going to happen in the next 4 years. That's number one. As long as interest rates are down, people will continue to plunge into the market to be able to take advantage of it. And then that would make that demand will continue to increase. Supply is at whatever it is right now is limited. Have you seen how people are doing pre-construction transactions these days? And I'm signing 5,000. In the next 30 days, bring 20,000. In the next 20 days, bring another 20,000. If you don't have the cash, you think you can be in that sort of transaction. And that's something that you're not even sure that is going to be ready when they say it's going to be ready. So please, if you have the opportunity, plunge now. Take the child where it's still serving.
Okay, somebody is asking another question. Thank you so much. So we have another question. So we're just going to take two of them because we still have one more speaker and we have 30 minutes to go. So I can see Shell's hand up. So you just have, if you could just drop your own. Anyways, you could actually just unmute yourself and ask that question. But before you do, I'd just like to read the other question in the chat. It says the market is not supplying enough brand new units. Is it advisable to buy a house that is old, like 12 years or more?
12 years is not old now. 12 years, 12 years is just like how many years? 2008. My dear sister or brother, let me tell you, there are plenty of old houses that people are buying today. I mean, there are houses that were built in the 1950s that are selling right now. Now, it depends on what you're trying to do. The older the property, the more, fixing, upgrades that it would need and all of that. I would believe that the older the property, except maybe you're buying in downtown part of the cities, older properties should not be as expensive as the new ones. I will leave that to my dear sister to be able to tell us more about what the real estate market is saying about that. But I believe that the newer, the better. But 12 years is not old. 12 years is just like yesterday. I'm telling you, 15 years is not old. If you can find a house that is 20 years old, it's still okay, as long as the numbers make sense. I don't know if that answers your question.
Okay. I believe Sean had a question. Sean, do you still have a question for us?
Yeah, just a short one.
Okay. What?
Please mute her. So pretty much you mentioned something about interest rates not going up, right? But just lately, just very recently, I was told there will be some sort of review precisely from June 1st.
Yeah.
They'll be reviewing interest rate, maybe bank rate this time around. Then I'm also hearing an update yesterday that lenders power, something like that, purchasing power will be reduced by 5% as well. Then the mortgage insurance that was limited to 10% or 5% equity rate before will cut across all brackets of equities now. Whether you have 20%, whether you have 10%, whether you have 5%, you're still gonna you still have to do mortgage insurance. How truthful is that information? That's one. Then what will be its impact in the markets in the coming year?
Okay, I think thank you so much, Sean, for that question. I think the real thing that is going to change from June 1, just like you mentioned, is the stress test that we normally do when you want to get a mortgage. Prior to now, they do stress tests. I think if I'm not mistaken, Sam, you can help me out here. 4.79 is what we currently use to do stress tests for you to be able to show that this person is qualified to buy a property. Let me explain what that means. It's not as if you are going to pay 4.9% on a property, but they are saying, okay, Worst case, if the market were to tumble, everything were to go, nuke diving into the south. If interest rate were to go to 4.79% as of today, with these guys still continue to be able to pay mortgage, if you can qualify on that basis, yes, we will give you mortgage. However, that's going to change to 5.2 or 5.1. I'm not too sure about the numbers right now from June. So we will now be requalifying people for mortgages at a different, at a different level. But what that would do is just that it will remove just the ones who are not able to, they are barely trying to scratch the surface before. There's still a lot of people who have cash that they're sitting down on. As long as you can do 80% loan to value, you're going to be okay. It doesn't matter whether it's, stress test of 7-point-something%. It doesn't change anything. Now, I'm not sure about mortgage insurance for anybody that is about 20%. I don't think that is. Uninsured mortgages will start from, 80% loan to value or lower. If you do anything about 80% loan to value, then you have to have insured mortgage. And that's what I think you're trying to talk about. For most first-time buyers, you're allowed to do 5% down payment, and then, CMHC, Sagen, and the rest of them can give you mortgage default insurance for the balance, for which, the bank can take to say, okay, I can still lend to these guys. But if I have, 20% or even more down payment to put down on a property, I don't need insured mortgage. So I don't think that's going to be applicable. Now, in terms of what you see that interest rates are going to go up, I don't see them going up significantly as something that, was happening 2, 3, 4 years ago. I mean, I have friends who have mortgages that are running at maybe 3.7%, 3.86%, 3.9%. I have not seen anybody in the last, 9 months that got mortgage that was more than 2.5%. Right now, mortgages are being given at,
1.84,
1.9, 1.8, 1.6. Some people got mortgage at 1.42. I'm not going to see, there's no how I will see 100 basis point increase in mortgages in the next 1 or 2 or 3 years. Why? Because prime from the banks, from Bank of Canada or any Fed that you can look at is 0.75. So if you want to add to whatever that is, maybe add another 150 basis point to it. So in the real sense of interest going up, interest is not going to go back to where it used to be before COVID for the next 2 or 3 years. Why? The economy is suffering. So until the economy becomes, something that can accommodate some of the shocks that we've seen in the last 1 year, we can't go anywhere. All right? I don't know if that, clarifies some of the things that you're trying to do.
Oh, sure, it makes sense. Yep. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's always very interesting and very insightful. You always give very important notes for us to take home every time we get to listen to you. Thank you so much for sharing everything that you have shared with us today. I know some of us are actually listening right now and they're wondering if they want to contact you. What can you just give us like a brief rundown of what that would entail? Reaching out to you, your services, what exactly does that entail?
For me, I work with people to find them what they need. I'm a financial advisor. You don't pay me for the services that I do for you. The financial institutions that we work with on your behalf eventually pay me. And the reason is pretty simple. I'm not a fee-based person. If you can't find what you're looking for, I won't charge you for any of my time. But before I take on anybody, I want to be sure that I can actually work with that person so that, it's not a waste of time for both of us. So there's always like a qualification process of, can I work with this person or not? And if we find a fit between ourselves, we can work together on a number of things. So if you're thinking about any form of financial goal planning into the future that involves, financial planning, real estate investment, and stuff like that, I can talk to you about them. And you can always find me. My email address is simple, bc@bcogunwale.com. is my email address. My first and last name.com. bc@bisonwale.com is the email address that you can use to reach me. You're muted, so we can't hear you.
Thank you so much. And like I said previously, we're going to drop all the contacts of our speakers for today on the Telegram group. You can definitely reach out to them. Thank you so much, BC, for such a wonderful session. So now we're going to move on to our realtor in the house, a very well-seasoned realtor with many years of experience. We've been itching to talk to you, and you said the devil is a liar. I can actually.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, absolutely. We can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, I had to use my phone. I don't know what happened to my computers, yeah. So I'm so sorry for the technical issue. My phone was dead, and I thought it would be better using my computer. But I hope it's not echoing.
It is echoing, actually.
My computer on. Is it okay? Can you hear me right?
Yes, it's better now.
Okay, good. Yeah, so.
Oh, no, we still have that echo. I think you have to.
I have to mute one.
Yes,
let me see. Maybe the one I was using before is on. Let me see. Is that okay?
We can still hear that echo.
Okay.
You can hear you. Try now.
Is it off now? I think I will have to log out of my computer. If you don't mind, then you won't see me, but I will be on my phone.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So that these people can hear you clearly.
All right. Okay, is that better now? Can you hear me?
A lot better. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes.
You're welcome. So I'm so sorry for all these technical issues. I thought I tried it before joining, but yeah. So
no
I thank the two professionals that spoke before me, and that was quite an information. But I will be sharing some of my experience in investment. I know, like the man that spoke, BC mentioned, like, you can invest out of the province and stuff like that. Yeah, it is good. And sometimes you have to really get your information right. You have to know the jurisdiction that governs where you're going to be investing, because that is a lot of things, a lot of we immigrants, we face. We don't get enough information, and people, sometimes we don't know the pros and cons until we get into it. And if we don't really do it right, it can be messy and it can be costly. So what I would advise is, for example, I from experience and from some of the investors I've worked with in the past, I've had some investors that they live in BC and they have properties in some other provinces. Sometimes in those provinces where they are investing, the market might be booming. I remember in the early 2000s when the market was booming in Oshawa because of the auto business. Because of the auto business there, a lot of people, they were buying properties around that area, and everybody moved. Some people moved there because of the factories that are there. Then sometimes then there was a problem at the factory. Then all the real estate market was affected because people had to move out again to go invest somewhere else. So in that situation, a lot of people went bankrupt, and some of their houses were, they went on foreclosure because they couldn't afford to pay the mortgage, and some of them need to move out to go look for work outside the province too. So sometimes one needs to be very, very careful, and weigh your options. And if you have a very good investor that is managing, it's somebody that is managing your property in other provinces and you want to live somewhere else, it could be okay. It could be okay. Sometimes the market is very, very dicey. You cannot really say this is what it's going to be. Anything can change. Nobody predicted COVID. Nobody thought, the world will go this way because of COVID. Things could just start suddenly. And, look at what is going on about all this, the tsunami and stuff like that. Natural causes, things, pandemic, things, unpredictable factors could be added to some of these things. So, and sometimes when you are in a province, you might have to look, within your province. If you are within your province, you know that the jurisdiction within your province is going to be the same. And that is one funny thing about Canada. When I first came to Canada, I didn't know, I didn't know a lot of things, like even with the educational, the educational standards, I found out that sometimes what is accepted in this province might not be accepted in the other province. I used to live in Ontario when I came to Canada, and I got a job in BC. And I started with my real estate license in Ontario. I thought my real estate license would also work in BC. But when I got to BC, I found out that I have to write another licensing exam to be able to practice in BC. And sometimes too, regarding some of these investment markets too, every province might have their own jurisdiction. So you have to do your investigation very well. Sometimes it's good to go on the government website. There's a lot of information. You can go to the council website, so the municipality website of the area where you're thinking of investing in. That could be, you can get some information, and you can, sometimes call in too and ask questions, and, talk to your representatives too. Talk to your representatives at the bank, talk to your mortgage brokers, talk to, a lot of professionals in that field. So, but my own field is about selling, buying, investing, and I'm licensed in BC presently. So I will be talking about BC. So in BC at the moment, on the Lower Mainland right now, you find out that a lot of people, when you move westward, it's more expensive. When I mean westward is when you're moving towards Vancouver, you find out that properties are more expensive. But when you move eastward, the properties are still okay. They're affordable. And 2 years ago, when you want to go as far as Chilliwack, properties are still not that bad there. But you find out right now, a lot of people now are moving towards the east, and properties at Chilliwack too, there are multiple bids going on there, and it's ridiculous what the rates are there at Chilliwack. So right now in BC, if you work in Vancouver and you have that income, well, the mortgage brokers will have told you how you get qualified, and you have to save and stuff like that. So then you have to weigh your factors. Do you want to commute and get something reasonable for your family? The house you can afford in Vancouver, in Vancouver at, for example, at maybe $1 million, it might be just a condo, a strata or a condo or a townhouse. It depends. Then, meanwhile, if you move eastward, towards maybe Coquitlam, Poco, Pitt Meadows, Maple Ridge, Langley, Surrey, Mission, Chilliwack, you might get you'll get a single family home, more space for your family. You have more space there, and you can even get a house with a basement suite with a mortgage helper. So most of the time the basement suite is a mortgage helper. But when you get a house with a mortgage helper, you have to know what the Residential Tenancy Act of that province says, because there's a lot of information on the residential tenancy board website of BC. You get lots of information over there, and they will tell you what you need to know when you are renting your house to somebody in your basement, and you can get some forms. If you want to do it yourself, there's a lot of regulations there. You have to really be aware of the pros and cons before you rent your house to people too about that. That could be a good investment if you do it right and if you get your information right, or you can hire property managers to manage it for you because they're professionals and they know a lot of information. And in BC too, we have lots of developments going on. And that is a very good area where people could invest. Sometimes it's good to be, join maybe the Western Investors Group. There's a lot of information where we have the Real Estate Investment Trusts group. The Real Estate Investment Trust they have a group of people that are investors. They are stakeholders that join hands together, join their financial resources together, and they build, some condos. They build stratas. They build, houses, or they sponsor some developers to build. So after building and selling, then they all share they all share the profits on it. So those are areas where people can invest too. And sometimes they require certain down payment depending on that kind of investment. And in BC too, when you have the time, you can ask questions at your municipalities, like the city hall. You can go in there, know when they're having meetings. Before any developments could happen there would have been a point where they're negotiating, developers are talking, the stakeholders are discussing, and the city is approving developments in certain areas, like for example, when you see developments going on in on the lower mainland, it must have gone through some processes. And part of the process is, there would have been a proposal by some investors, or there would have been a proposal by the city like, oh, we're expecting certain growth in this city within this year and the next 10 years. We're seeing a lot of immigrants coming in here, and we're trying to plan to build to be able to meet up with the demand, the housing demand in that region. So they would have had a series of meetings, and the city would have decided. And before the city can decide to, the citizens of that community would have been a partaker to approve. Like right now, reading the newspapers, like going to the city council's website, there's a lot of information over there that you can know. And reading that information can, enable you to know like, oh, this is a good business, a future business opportunity coming up here, and there's some areas where the city has approved and some of the citizens are rejecting, or they don't want skyscrapers in this environment, or we just want, certain level of houses. We don't want these condos to go more than 10 floors. Or in some areas, so they don't mind 40, the condos going going up to 40 floors and stuff like that. That's why you go to places like New Westminster, you see all these high-rise condos. You go to Coquitlam, you see all these high-rise condos and stuff like that. But when you come towards, eastward in some municipalities, like Maple Ridge, you hardly see condos that goes, up to that level yet. It is just because the decision and what is governing that area for that moment has been decided by that municipality. And sometimes some people too, they are investing in condos, probably some people like, they're qualified for a single family home, and they have extra money, and then they want to buy condos and invest. Buying hold, I know somebody has a question whether hold or new and stuff like that. You need to know what your strata bylaw says. Condos, they call it strata in BC a lot. Some provinces use condos, some provinces use strata. Strata is all the same thing as a condo. And then you have to know what the Strata Act of a particular unit where you want to invest in. You have to know this, you have to know this, the Strata Act of that and the bylaw, strata bylaw of that particular condo. Every condo they've got their own bylaw. That is why you have some people, they want to buy this condo, they want to use it for an investment. Make sure that the condo you are buying for an investment is as an assignment to be able, for you to be able to rent it out. There's some of those buildings where they only allow certain percentage of rentals. As soon as that percentage is reached, then it's capped. Then when you buy condo in such an environment, you will not be able to rent it out. So, and sometimes too, there's some condos that have a lot of work they need to do. And a lot of these things is shared by, the strata fees people pay and the contingency fees. You have to check the contingency fees in such condos. And because some of them, they're already owing, some of them, they don't have enough in their contingency, and they have to pull that money from the people living in that condo or townhouses. They have to pay. One of my clients have experienced a situation where they were new home buyers and they moved into a townhouse. And when they moved into that townhouse, they did not read the strata documents. They did not go through their strata document properly, or maybe the agents they used at that time did not, give, they didn't get enough information about that particular strata. And then just a year down the road, they have to contribute like over about 20,000 for some repairs. So it was a major repair that involves mechanical work in the condo and stuff like that. And it was very stressful. They were trying to get out of that place. And, but it can be very, very stressful because then it makes it very costly for you to resell that particular unit. And in another investment opportunity, you get it from, there's some mortgage brokers that are kind of dedicated to some of these investments where, like I said, a group of stakeholders, they're trying to, gather people together and they say, oh, this development is coming up. We're looking for people to put down maybe 25K or 15K. And, at the end of 1 year or 2 years, when the construction is completed, when the building is, so this is the amount you will get, and they give you all the details of that information. And so many opportunities like that. And I know some people too, because they live in BC. Some people are trading across the border. They're going across the border. Some people are buying houses in the US because some of the houses in the US are affordable. Some people are even buying houses in the US and they're commuting to Canada. But so many factors around investment. But definitely any investment regarding property or real estate you want to go into, you have to, talk to your lawyers, talk to the professionals, talk to your mortgage brokers, talk to your financial advisors, talk to your bank, talk to the council, get your information right, and take your time before you make up your mind about what you want to do. And sometimes too, like investing out of the province, some people, they have kids schooling in another province. And when they have kids in that province, the kids will definitely be renting a place. And, they know that their kids will be there for like 5 years. And some people made a good decision by buying a property in that environment. And so that their kids can benefit, and then they too can also use that place as an investment. So in that situation, it can work. So I don't know if anybody has got any question for me.
Yes, ma'am. We have one question so far. The person says, during work permit, is it advisable to buy a house, or will the bank finance me considering my residency status?
Most of the time the government requires a permanent resident to be able to buy a house. But if you're going to buy with a work permit, you have to talk to your mortgage broker, and you might be required to pay a huge down payment too. But it's good to talk to the professionals in that field, like, maybe the mortgage brokers or the bank. But most of the time, it's better to be a permanent resident before you venture into a real estate business.
Okay, perhaps maybe at the end of the your session, we'll probably have Mr. BC and as well Mr. Sam. Maybe just shed a little light for those who are listening that are actually that are not some permanent residents and have work permits, and how they can also benefit from real estate investments and what those entail. But if anybody has any questions specifically related to the realtor, could you please maybe indicate by show of hand, or you drop your questions in that section? Okay. Okay then. Okay, so while we're waiting for people to thank you so much, Ma, for a beautiful presentation. Thank you for keeping to time. Thank you, because it was loaded. I personally learned so much. I'll just want to say that can you please share your info? We'll definitely share the information, but we just want to know what it entails for everybody listening right now, and they're looking to get in you to help them in securing, that is buying a home or selling a home. What are the things that it entails? Because we do know that you are a guru in the business and you have a wealth of experience. So just shed some light on what that entails.
Oh, thank you. They can contact me by email, they can phone me, they can text me, and I will respond. I'm very good at responding as soon as possible. It will not take days for me to respond. If I'm in a meeting, I will be responding to them within an hour, within 24 hours, definitely they will get a response from me. And if they want to link up with some of the investors that are looking for people to bring some money down for some investment developments going on too, I can, link them up with those group too.
Fantastic, thank you. Somebody says, what's the maximum age of a house to consider offering the subject-free offer?
Can you repeat that question?
So they want to know what's the maximum age. If you're gonna go with a subject-free offer, what's the maximum age of the house for you to be able to do that?
Subject-free depends on how much you've got. Like there are some people that they have a lot of equity they're putting down. I found out that a lot of people that are doing a subject-free, the age does not, it does not really matter. It depends on how much you're putting down and how much you have to offer. Like some people have a lot of equity, and for example, this is an example. If a house is priced for 600 and the offer is accepted for 600, and some people have, they have enough down payment, and there's nothing negotiating, they are not waiting for a mortgage broker to pre-approve them again, then the money is already there, they have the cash. So most of those people will have a subject-free offer, and the owners will take a subject-free offer because it's less stressful. They're not waiting, because sometimes waiting, you have to get back to your mortgage broker, and your mortgage broker might have to pre-qualify you again. And that delay, sometimes some of the sellers, they develop cold feet, and some of the sellers will still want to invite other people to keep sending their offers to that home. But with a mortgage, with a with a subject-free offer, a lot of sellers will always go for a subject-free offer most of the time.
Okay, so the person also just included without an inspection. Like, are there any downsides to going for a subject or choosing subject free for houses that are really old without inspection?
Well, you know what? It's always good to get the inspection done. Sometimes, but if you are, you are very handy, if the person is very handy and technically oriented, knows about all the building construction codes and knows, some people who are into construction. So those people might not really need to do, they felt like, well, I've inspected it. I know what I'm seeing. I know what is there. So those people will say, well, I don't need any external inspector. But if the person is very new, you don't know the building codes in Canada, you don't know what some of those hidden stuff that are not stated, it's better to hire a professional to give you a proper report, a proper report and about the inspection of that property.
Okay, then we have another question. The person says, is it advisable to invest in pre-construction in BC?
Quick construction.
Pre-construction.
Oh, pre-construction. Yes, if the person, like there's some construction that are going to be built within 2 years. And if the person has some money just, staying there in the bank, why not? I would advise the person, whoever has got that kind of money, instead of you just holding it in the bank for nothing, invest it. And in 2 years' time, you are ready to just put it down for 2 years. And then in 2 years' time, you get your money and you still get some profit on it. Why not? I think it would be a good idea.
Okay, thank you so much, Ma. Thank you so much. And to everybody, thank you so much. It's 7:06. We had planned for this session to run from 5 to 7, and I think we did fairly good enough, just 6 minutes past. Thank you so much, Ma, to all the speakers who graced us today with their presence and agreed to share the wealth of wisdom with us. Thank you so, so much. God bless you all. Like I said, if we have more questions, we will definitely post their contact information on the Nigerian Residents in BC Telegram group. And then you can reach out to each and every one of the speakers. Like they've explained to you, it's not difficult. You're not going to go through a mountain before you can actually get their access to them. It's not difficult to reach out to them if you have any questions or you want to, or you would be requiring their services, so just feel free to reach out to them. Thank you so much. I don't know if Mr. Sam is still here with us or. Okay, so if you have more. Sorry. Oh, Mr. Sam, are you still here?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. So I just wanted, if we could just spend like maybe 2 minutes for the person that asked the question about work permits status and how they can actually still benefit or in real estate investments in Canada, or if there are any downsides or pros or cons. So just 2 minutes, basically.
Okay, thank you. So like I explained the other time, there's always a solution for everyone, depending on if you have the right money to spend. In an ideal situation, yes, you get a PR. Yes, you can qualify for most of the advantages a PR person is qualified for. However, if you have a work permit and you want to buy a property, by no means you have to go forward for it. However, you will be able to pay for what you want to get. Like one of the lender, I'll use a situation of Scotiabank. Scotiabank would, one of the things they would require from you is you have to pay 50% of the value of the property as your down payment. Then you can buy a property that's over $750,000. So if you're looking at buying that, your down payment is going to be $375,000 for a property value of $750,000. That's Scotiabank. And also, your payment frequency might be weekly, might be monthly, and they have repayment. So They are strict on it. If you want to do it, absolutely yes. There will be lenders who will give you the money. But in an ideal situation, if you don't want to spend more, get your PR first before you go into that. I hope I've been able to answer that question.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. That was a good one. Thank you so much. So like I said, thank you to everybody. A very huge thank you to Mrs. Adetola. She's one of the members of the events committee, and she gracefully helped us to put this all together. Thank you so much, Ma. God bless you. Thank you to everyone for sparing your time, for joining us today. We really, really do appreciate it. And I'd mentioned before, if you'd like to be a part of any of the committees on the Nigerian residents and BC group, feel free to reach out to me, and then you'll be added to the. We just want to ensure that we continue to build this community, and the community should continue to work strong. Thank you to all our speakers for today. Have a wonderful, until our next event, have a wonderful evening and long weekend. We still have Monday tomorrow. And bye-bye. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.